We got our first 2 episodes of X-Men 97, and it doesn't disappoint. Let's dive into our spoiler-free review of the kickoff of the new X-Men series, what works, what doesn't, and how this new version feels to this fan. Now before we do that though, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and ring that bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC videos and want to be your place for all the superhero news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently so you are really in the know. Well, the first 2 episodes of X-Men 97 have dropped, and I have to say, I had a pretty good time. Now, this is going to be a spoiler-free review, because we don't want to ruin this experience for anybody, but we definitely want to talk about the show. So let's not really beat around the bush and dive in. Now, the first 2 episodes of the show really do work hard on trying to build on the foundation of the new series, all while trying to balance newcomers who didn't necessarily grow up on the show like many fans did. Quite honestly, you really just need some basic familiarity with the X-Men franchise and the fate of Professor X to kind of dive in and enjoy the show. Now, luckily for us though, there are a ton of cameos and Easter eggs for fans to pick apart, and there's going to be a lot to talk about in the next coming weeks. Now, one of the best parts about the new series is it does a great job of weaving a fairly compelling story right out of the gate. It dives right into the mutant soap opera that made the first series so popular, and definitely follows that model of the X-Men fighting for their survival in a world that fears and hates them, and balancing that with personal issues. Now, we still get some of the classic interaction with Wolverine still feuding with Cyclops, with Jean Grey stuck in the middle. Lenore Zahn's Rogue still has that sadness where she's all alone and can't effectively be near anyone, so it's a pretty effective blend of personal drama and big stakes in these first 2 episodes. Now, one of my favorite parts of the new show has to be Magneto, because he basically steals the spotlight in every scene he's in. The original series did a great job of portraying Magneto as a really balanced character, and that continues to happen in the show. He was never really a villain, more a misguided mutant freedom fighter with some history that really made him hold humanity in low regard. X-Men 97 takes full advantage of this right out of the gate, and Watterson gives Magneto just the right amount of menace, along with the gravitas the character always needs. Magneto, really more than any other character, carries the load of the themes of the show, which traditionally are compassion and bigotry, and that's part of what made the first series work so well. Now, one thing I think the show is going to be challenged by is such a large ensemble of characters. The core team has been expanded some, and some characters kind of feel like a bit of an afterthought where they're kind of shoehorned in there. Quite honestly, it's really hard to have enough room to do every character justice right out of the gate. Hopefully by the time we get to the end of the 10 episodes, the writers will have enough time to flesh out each member of the team. Now, some of the good news is the voice cast is pretty strong, featuring a mix of returning favorites and new voices that sound very similar to the old. The show totally would not have worked if Cal Dodd hadn't returned as Wolverine, and with Allison Seeley-Smith-Storm and Lenore Zahn's Rogue, the new series really has the bases covered. Now, there's going to be some adjustment dealing with some of the new voices. Some of them don't quite sound like they did in the original series, either because of age or recasting, but once you settle into the series, you stop noticing it. Now, another place the show absolutely excels is where it's not like the original, and that's in the animation. Unlike Batman the Animated Series, the animation in the original X-Men series really does not stand the test of time. I know many of you have been re-watching that series and kind of come to realize it wasn't, from an animation perspective, as good as you remember. But in the new series, the animation team pulls it all together pretty nicely, relying on 3D animation shaded to look like 2D, and really tweaking the frame rate to create a very similar vibe as the original show. It is much cleaner and more colorful than its predecessor, but not really completely different, and in some of the action scenes, it totally shines. The first thing that comes to mind is in that trailer when you see Gambit charging Wolverine's claws. That probably is the best example that I can give without spoiling anything from the first 2 episodes. Now, another upside is the use of powers, because this isn't a Saturday morning cartoon, and the X-Men really do cut loose and unleash their powers in a way that they never could have in the original series. Heck, even Cyclops, who's typically a guy who's kind of humdrum personality-wise, comes across as just plain cool on the battlefield. Now, I'm going to give these first 2 episodes a 8 out of 10. It really does have a wonderful nostalgic feel, pays tribute to the original series, and does great jobs on the voice, audio, and visual fronts of the new show, despite all the updates and changes. I really can't wait for the next episode, but I am curious on what you guys thought of the kickoff of X-Men 97.